going to have a look at XRP, and I'm gonna say something that I didn't say yesterday. Oh, sorry, I did say it, but I'm gonna stress it a little bit more. Yeah, is I was describing yesterday the pathway, the potential pathway for XRP if it wants to come down and, like a previous pattern similar to double top, comes back down, finds support at 38. 38 was resistance, finds support at 38, does sideways for a month or two, and then finally does a major pump, and we're off into the next bull run. So that's one pathway, and it's looking good for that. Yeah. Now, if it was going to go up, I'm going to stress this a little bit more today. If it was going to go up, is potentially, here's the 4 hour and the SMAs on the 4 hour, the 50 on the green and the 200 on the red, SMMA. Yeah, is my target for this drop is 42.7, is to bounce off the 200 SMA, and potentially then, if it wants to head back up and bounce off the 50 again, and I got to see where the 50 is going to be at that time, possibly around the 47 or so. That's the central line of this blue channel. Now we got to see that, and you can see that it's slowly coming down, up and down, up and down, but it's in a spill. So I am expecting that there will be one final drop before it actually bottoms out. Yeah, and I moved the channel. I had a channel here, and it made more sense for it to be in a wedge. And partly is the pathway down, is if I left the channel over here, I had it wider, yeah, it means that potentially I'm expecting it to drop a lot further to do the steps down, where here it actually makes sense where it does a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 can take it down onto 41. Or 6 can take it down onto 38. So this is what I'm going to say. Yeah, if Bitcoin is going to pump, and Bitcoin is super close to a big move, and it will be. It seems like it's going to be a pretty big one. Either way, whether it goes up or down, it's going to be a big one. The pathway for the up is that for XRP is that it bounces here. You know, does a bit of a retrace, drops down again. You know, it doesn't even have to drop down any further. It can bounce off the 200 on the 4 hour here, as long as it generally doesn't break this level here at 41.10. Yeah, it can do that. Can be a, for here, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or an even bigger one from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5. Yeah, so that is still very much on the cards, and potentially that's how XRP can find its way up to that pump. So that's what I'm mindful of as well. I'm watching that as well. So I wanted to stress that option a little bit more today. Rather than the coming down and then doing the consolidation, as both are still very much on the cards. Yeah. So now let's have a look. Let's have a look. Here's the same SMA chart. I just took off some of the background. Yeah, and I'm looking at the 20 here, and just a reminder. Sorry, the 50, the green one. Just a reminder of, if you look at what happened when it broke up, is you got the bounce here, and then it did all this pump. So the fact that it's crossed through here, and also look, it did a drop first, so it did a spike through, back up, and now it's doing the spill through. So here's the push through. So generally when you get the spike through and then the push through, is the push through breaks below the spike. It's looking to break this level. So generally after that, next level down here is somewhere here, which would be 41.60. Here's a bit of a level as well, around 42.72. And when you look at the 4 hour, is again, look, there's the 42.77. That's where the 200 is on the 4 hour at the moment. Yeah. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that as my target. Yeah. And I got to watch as it goes down. It could falter here. It's got to 45. Well, it broke 40. Well, I got 45.30. There's a level at 45.50 where you can see it's doing a bit of a retrace at the moment. Yeah. And then equally, the channel here, the blue channel here down at 44. There's a target there around 44.3. So we've got to see how it behaves there. But I do believe we probably get down to here. Yeah. And it would just fit in with the wedge. So, but I'm mindful that this doesn't have to be a wedge at all. So, but I reckon this is the target, or somewhere around there. So that's and that's what I'm looking at. Excuse me. Is what I'll be looking for. Also, is that at some point, if price action keeps moving like this in this slow trickle down, if it hits a bottom like this, it will do a more regular. It'll do a more regular reversal pattern. Is if it does this blow off bottom, is you get more of a V shape. And either way, I'll be looking for my entry point. Yeah. If I see the blow offs coming down and I see it starting to bottom out around here, I might just hop in. I might just hop in on a long here. Yeah. When I see it hitting the, if it does, when I see it hitting the 200 on the 4 hour. Yeah. Because either way, it's going to do a bounce off that. So it'll do some type of either reversal up, or it'll do a retrace, because it'll have to deal with that. So that, if I get in on that trade, I can then watch it and observe to see how it behaves. Yeah. So wherever it wicks to, I'll just put a stop loss just below it. But really, I'll be looking for the reversal as proper confirmation. Yeah. So that's to be honest, that's it. That's all that I really have to show today. Is, I think, maybe if I look at again, you can see I adjusted the channel here for a wedge. Yeah, I'm just doing the general mapping. This is just me eyeballing it and doing the general mapping of it. Yeah. So now, if we have a closer look at, let's have a look. If I do the RSIs here for a sec, yeah, here is the 30 minute, and again, look, you can see the bullish divergence here on the 30 minute, none on the hour. There was on the 2 hour bottom left here. Second bottom left is, you see the 3 hour. The third, there's the 4 hour. Also has a bullish a bullish divergence. And again, this is the challenge. This is where reading the signals is, normally this would be screaming. I'd be super cautious looking for a lift. And I definitely believe it's coming in. But I think the challenge here is the pressure is coming down so much that these just keep getting broken. Yeah, eventually it'll turn, but it seems like it has a bit more space to go. And I'll go into the stock for that to show you the contradictory pattern. Now, and last night, and this was last night before I went to bed, is every stock all the way through the minutes, all the hours up to the day, and then all the dailies up to the weekly. They were all down. They were all coming down with space to go, except at the time the daily. The daily is the one that was deep down. Yeah, the rest had space to come down. So now, since then, is at the moment you can see the top right or top left, the 5 minute is topped out again. The 15 minute has again space to come down. The half hour has space to come down. The hour has space. Now you can see the 2 hour bottom left is that's bottoming out. But again, if you look at the 2 hour there, it spent a long time down there, but that will need to get a breather soon. The 3 hour is coming down. The 4 hour again is back in the oversold. So you can see now that it's after shifting. It's after shifting since last night, yeah, and it's had a couple of drops. So now this is the 4 hour here, and we just have a quick look at the 6. Now see, there's the 6 has a bit to go. The 8 is just coming down. The 9, so you can see that now that all the hours on the daily are getting closer to coming down. You can see the 12 is turned, and again, this is to me, if the 12 keeps going down like this, it's indicating that there's still a bit to go, and we may get that blow off top. So what I'll be looking for is, I'll actually show you on the chart. Potentially, I'll go to the 4 hour. What I'm looking for potentially, and this is where the 44.30 might actually be the limit here. Yeah, you can see on the 4 hour. Well, now I'm going to contradict myself. Is on the 4 hour. If you look at this red line here, that is the 200 MA. Now the 5 MA is after crossing through the 200, which again is a significant crossing with regards for continuation down. Yeah. So what I'm thinking, if you look at the bottom left here, the RSI, the one with the blue lines, you can see it's going back into the over. It's already in the oversold again. Yeah. It's quite possible that we could get some final drop. There's the 42.74. That's actually, this one here is the 377 EMA. Very similar to the SMA. The 200 SMA. Is what I'm thinking is potentially we might get a drop down here, but yet the RSI doesn't necessarily break lower. Yeah, and that's where the bearish divergence tops out. So you get a long wick down, but yet the RSI doesn't break below. I don't know. I'm just trying to map out how this can get down here, and map it out with the MAs. Yeah. So something like that, because you can see at bottom left here, is you can see the divergence here. Is you see price action. If you look at price action. Look at price action here. So look at this wick here. I'll circle it so you know what I'm talking about. So you can see price action here, and then if you go to the bottom left RSI, so you can see it here. Okay, and then when you go to where the other green line is here, just look how it's at a higher point. But when you go to price action and you look at the same space, there, as you can see, price action is level, but the RSI is, the second one is higher. It's not getting down as far. So that creates, that tells you that the momentum is getting weaker for the down. However, because of the pressure and the weight coming down, is then it keeps spilling. So it keeps spilling. So price action keeps coming down. Yeah. So you can see then the RSI after that is coming lower again. So this is where you just got to be a little bit careful with reading the RSIs here, and just recognizing where price action is. So now, this is what I'm leveraging. I'm leveraging what's going on the SMAs and price action. So what do I mean by that? Is when I go back to the hour, and I look at price action, is I go, okay, look, my RSIs are screaming bullish divergence, they're going to turn up. But then I look at what happened on the SMA here between the 50 and the 200, and it takes a lot for it to eventually get back down and cross down. So anytime it crosses over, especially after a lift like this, is when it crosses over, you know you're going to get a push down. Yeah, it's going to be reasonably substantial. So you can see the effort it's taken. It needed it spike through, it get a lift, and now look at this spill. So it's this spill, push up. So you can see the battle going on between the bulls and the bears. Yeah. So that's where the indicators get a little bit ropey, where you're like, you know, you're getting messages for bullish divergence, but yet price action keeps continuing down. Yeah. So balancing that out is looking at the stocks. The stock, because the stock is it's an RSI, but it moves faster. It gives you a more immediate response to price action. Yeah. So again, since last night, these are all, you can see they're all starting to bottom out again. So one of the ones that I'm being guided by here is the bottom right. The second one is the 4 hour. So the 4 hour is, I think I mentioned this yesterday, maybe the day before, is you get the drop, you get the lift, and then this here is where you get a bigger drop back to the bottom again. Yeah, potentially that can happen. So if we go back to the chart again, and we're looking at this, let's just look at this. Here's the same 4 hour. Here's the same 4 hour. Oh, my apologies. My apologies. Sorry, I got that wrong. This is the 12 hour. This here is the 12 hour. So, but I'm going to apply the same thing. And I reckon what could happen on the 4 hour is what the 12 hour is doing. You get a little lift up, you get a turn down, and then it drops. So now let me apply that here to the 12 hour. There we go. Excuse me. So here it is, yeah. So here's price action. So you can see up here, this is the top, and the stock is at the top. Look, you got this drop. You got this drop down, you got this drop down. There's a 12 hour stock bottoming out. There's price action bottoming out. And look at the price action, the lift. But look how the stock doesn't lift so high. Okay, but now look, it's turning down and it's coming down again, yeah? So it's quite possible that this final movement back into the oversold will give a nice big drop as well. You get a nice big drop out of this, yeah? And even though the stock here isn't coming down as far as it did here, this is where you get a nice big drop as well, yeah? And if you look to the RSI, the one with the blue lines, bottom left, second, you can see the RSI was at the top. Look, it did a drop, it retraced, and now it's coming back down. So it's possible that this drop will continue until the RSI gets back into the oversold here, and it comes and touches the bottom. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm not getting too caught up in the short-term bullish divergences. So the back here. So you see the green. I'm not getting too caught up in them flashing at the moment. Yeah. So that's it's worth mentioning that because of the way price action is behaving now, is I'm adjusting how I read the indicators because of what's happening in price action, and also more the long term change of direction. And with regard to this long term, I mean this here, yeah. You got this lift, is a drop, but it continues to lift, a drop, lifts again, but this time there's the breakthrough. So this is in play. So that's it. That breaking this phase is going to be a challenge. So that's the phase we're in. So it's just good to recognize that. Okay, so that's. I'm still saying I could talk about the EMAs, but I've sort of said enough. You get the idea. So now, just to simplify it again, if you're looking for a trade entry on for a short, let me do a little zoom in and go potentially where could that show itself. And I'll go down to the 1 hour. So it's broken through. It's broken through on the 4 hour. It's broken through the 200 here. Yeah. So it broke through. You can see how it was pushing through or spiked, pushed through. Potentially there might be a back test here. There might actually be a back test to the 200 here. Yeah. So let's have a look on the 1 hour and see how that's playing out. Okay. So you can see on the 1 hour is I would take this here or this here as the drop. Okay, probably here to be honest. Yeah. So now if I'm looking for an entry for a short is, here's the bottom here now. I'm going to go to a clearer screen. Now I'm not sure about what I'm going to tell you now. Yeah, and I'll tell you why. You can see that this is where the last drop was. Yeah, on the hour. There's the drop and bottomed out here, but a retrace, and it's hit another bottom as well. Now this is still a deeper retrace, so I'm going to go to here. Yeah, so this may work or may not work. So I'm going to put the fib on from here to there. Okay, and you can see the retrace here is potentially an entry point here is 45.99, 46, 46 or so, yeah. And it'd be interesting to see if there is a bit of a back test. Remember, a back test to the 200 on the 4 hour, and then a rejection down, a continuation down, and that should get us in. That should get us in. But again, now it's I wouldn't bet my house on it. But if I just look at where price action, there you go, there's 46, yeah. And I'm going to go to the 4 hour. Here we go. Okay. So there's 46 there, yeah. So let's see if this wants to do a little bit of a back test before it continues on down, yeah. Potentially, let's look and see if the 5 minute is, where's the 5 minute in its play? Okay. Okay. So now here's the drop. Here's a retrace, a drop, a retrace. You can see the VWAP is here. The stock RSI is at the top. It looks like it wants to head down again. I don't think 46 is here. I think 46 might be a little bit too high. I think 46 might be, as it stands, you can see it did a double top here, yeah. If I look at the 15, does the 15 need a little bit of a reset? Not necessarily, because look, there's the drop. 15 has come up. 15 is coming up again. I'm not sure whether it wants to come all the way up. Let's have a look at, partly why I'm saying that as well is if you look at what the rejection is all the way down, it's been the 20, the white, 20 EMA and the pink, the 20 MA. That's what keeps pushing it down. So there's a strong chance that if it hits the MAs here again and it gets a push down, yeah. So potentially a nice target there could be 45.86. But again, if I stick to the strategy, it's here, 702. We'll be playing it safer, where this retrace could be to a 0.5, yeah. And again, this I can see this. This might be worthwhile. The only thing about doing the 0.5 is that it makes your stop loss deeper, so the risk is increased, yeah. What about the half hour? I'll look at the half hour and go, does the half hour on the stock want to head back up? So the half hour is heading down. There's space to go, so I don't think the half hour needs to go back up to continue on down. It can keep going down. So this doesn't look like it's going to do a back test to the 200 on the 4 hour. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be a little bit more cautious there. Where I'll give you an example of just this one here, yeah. So I'm doing from the top here to the bottom, yeah. And then look, there's a 702. Look, a couple of 702 entries, and then continues on down, yeah. If I tried to do it on this one, again, the drop will be from here. It's to, there's no 702. It's a 0.5, yeah. Yeah, maybe a 0.5 here could be worth it. Probably put a little less in. If you look at your stop loss, your risk and your stop loss, put the amount in that you're very comfortable with your stop loss risk. That might be worth doing if you really want to take it in. Yeah. Personally, I prefer to get one of these guys, because when you look at this, when it gives you this. When it gives you your entry here, is and it heads on down. Look, it's heading on down, because of the pattern here is it gives a stronger push down. The bit that I'd be mindful of is that this is already on a wave down. Is this might just do another wave down here, and then you get a bigger retrace, and you're getting challenged here. So that's why I'd be just a little cautious. Yeah. And an example is, look at the drop here. You got two waves. You got a big drop and then a bigger retrace. So you've got, again, two waves here. Even so, yeah, there's a drop and then a bigger retrace. Probably wait for a bigger drop like that. There you go. Is if you wait for a bigger drop and then it gives you your 702 on that, is that could be looking better, yeah. And I would still have a target of around 42.7. 42.7 as a target. So even from here, it's still 6%, yeah. Even if you have to do a drop and get in on it there, you still might get a 5% trade. Okay, so that's it. That's it for now. Just get into a little bit of nitty gritty there. So there you go. So enjoy the rest of your day.
Hello everyone. Let's see. Let's get into the charts. I won't be keeping you for too long. Have you started? Yes, you've started sharing my screen. So, and you can see my DXY. I'm going to switch to the 4 hour. The 4 hour is coming up and it's back testing the midline of the Bollinger. And we know that if the DXY gets above the 4 hour, it's likely to move up. And that will give it a lift, and that would give crypto a drop. So here we are at the crossroads between a possible down move for crypto, up move for DXY. If it gets rejected here, if it gets rejected at the midline, which is again highly likely, it's looking like it's going to head down to back test the bottom of the Bollinger. So that's what it generally does. If it gets rejected at the midline, it comes down, back tests, and tries again to get back above it. Now, it is looking very tricky in terms of reading where this is going to go. we don't have any confirmation for any direction at the moment on Bitcoin and Ethereum. By my TA, both of them seem to have one more step down to make. I have, however, trade-wise, I've closed my Bitcoin short.
Can I just jump in there just for a sec, just to finish that conversation? John?
Okay.
I was saying that potentially XRP pumping. I think if XRP pumps up to somewhere around 70, I think we're coming back down to at least the mid-20s. I don't think we're pumping and then it's to the moon. I think we're going to pump and then do a massive dump.
Absolutely. I think it's the same. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Bitcoin will do the same thing. I think Bitcoin might go up to 30K, 31K, and then come down for 14.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think Ethereum will do the same. If it goes up to 2K and then comes down to 800, 700 and other levels. Another level down, because the stock market has another level down to make. Okay, so back to the conversation. I will. This is the Bitcoin chart. Yes. So I closed my short this morning because I saw this higher low and it didn't break it, and to me that's a red flag. And where we are right now, I'll switch to the daily quite soon. Where we are right now, it's really how can I say? It's really tricky, and I don't want. Unlike Roy, I have no qualms about taking profit. I'm like, give me the profit. I'll come back later for the rest. The reason why I waited, because I had my take profit at 19,000 and it came down last night at 19,070. And I didn't take it. I said, no, it's going to come down and it's going to test the psychological low. Generally, if it's going to bounce, it's going to bounce off the psychological low. That would be what Bitcoin usually does. Also, what Bitcoin would do, and this is the short-term abnormality that Bitcoin is printing right now, it bounces off without resetting its 1 hour RSI, which is quite uncommon. So here we did all of this lift without resetting the RSI. All of these bottoms here didn't reset the RSI. These bottoms here didn't reset the RSI either. When I woke up this morning, I had put a stop loss here to secure some profit, because I didn't want to be in the short and have it retrace all the way up and not take any profit. But when I left the short running, I said, okay, I'm leaving it running for the 1 hour RSI to reset. And technically, I should see a drop of the 1 hour RSI into the space below the line at 30. And that to me says, okay, the move down is done. We might have another push down with a bullish divergence, but there it is. The momentum has come to its end, like here and here and here and so many others. Lately, over the past 5 days, we haven't done that. We've been hovering around this and coming back up to the overbought box, which is really odd. Like, you can hear it in my voice. I'm stunned by it. So I chose to take my profit. I anticipate there will be another move down. I won't follow that move down. I'll see how it goes. My action plan for today is to wait for the New York opening at 4:30 my time, 2:30 UK time, and then the 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock UK time candle, and see how the market sets itself up at that time. Because as things are looking right now, could we do another lift up from here? Yes, we could. Could we do another drop from here? Yes, we could. There's plenty of space for both of those moves. And to be honest, I wouldn't risk my profit for another lift up. But I don't trust that lift up as much as to go into a long where we are right now. I need to see it resetting. And if I am to miss that long because it's done a short retrace here and it's bouncing up right now, so be it. I'll catch the next one. But I'm happy to be watching it because this is quite abnormal. If we're looking even in terms of vector candles, which show the movement of the market makers, we've had 4 stop volume candles on the way down, which meant they've tried to stop momentum to the downside 4 times already. Price action is putting a lot of pressure on the psychological high, but it is holding it. Technically, it's holding it. So it's looking very dubious today, as is at the moment. Long story short, could we go down and test the 19K? Absolutely we could. Could we bounce up from where we are right now and test the 19,600, 19,500? Yes, we could. The RSI on the 1 hour hasn't reset to the bottom though. To me, that is a red flag, and it hasn't done so in, what date are we? 19th? Terrible with numbers. Since Thursday last week. So since Thursday last week, we've had 1, 2, 3 peaks into the overbought and no reset to the bottom. That to me is very, very odd. I'll show you why this is happening. It is mainly because of the tight space that we're in. Here we are in the apex of this triangle. We are right now preparing for a breakout, and again, I haven't started any breakout position. I am waiting to do so on back test. If I can catch one of these lifts and put a tight stop loss, happy days. If not, I'm gonna let it run and check the back test and put a tight stop loss below it. I did a whole video on it on Monday, and I don't want to keep you now to repeat the same thing. So we are not range trading anymore, in my opinion. The way the indicators are looking, we are preparing for a breakout, and that's when the indicators are no longer as reliable as they used to, because momentum and volume change. We can see an increase in volume, a steady increase in volume on the lower time frames, and right now Bitcoin's trying to break the VWAP, which is a sign it wants to go up. There's no particular, there is a triangle pattern here, which would be consolidation for the down. There is a descending triangle pattern if we're to look at it, but right about here, and we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, another swing. But anyways, even in this small space, here's where we're moving in. I'm staying out until I see a clear rejection on one of the support lines. So I'd love to see the psychological low be back tested, so another drop down to the 19K, maybe even down here to 18.3. That would be super. And then if it builds structure there, that would allow the 1 hour and the 4 hour RSIs to reset, and I'll be very happy to have my yeses there, because at the moment there are no 3 yeses to go into a trade. Ethereum is doing the same thing, very, very similar. Even the psychological levels that it's testing are quite similar. Where is Trader's Reality? There. So Ethereum is, let me change to the 1 hour. Moving along the psychological high, there it is. The orange line here is the psychological high. So Ethereum has been moving along the psychological high, and since last night, it is printing some reversal vectors, and just like Bitcoin, again, it hasn't reset to the bottom. So we've had 1, 2, 3 touches to the top here in the overbought box, and no touch here to the bottom. It is very odd. Again, it's not the momentum indicator that I would be used to. Again, we are moving in a tight space. I anticipate another drop to here. This is the base of this lift, the 1278. But again, we've been keeping this 1296, 1300 level for quite a while, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 4-hour candles. The 20, which is the 50 on the 4-hour. So the 50 on the 4-hour is holding this whole swing. Now, an MA that is so heavily tested is very likely to break. I anticipate again another break. It could be a nice trade to make, considering it. No, I take that back. It's only 1.5. It's not a nice trade to make. It's quite a tight range. I thought it was going to be a little bit bigger, considering Ethereum's ranges are usually higher. It's not worth going in if you're not already in a short. If you were in a short, I would suggest taking some profit here and letting it run to see what it's going to do. Ethereum is moving in the same tight daily space as Bitcoin. It has a slightly different pattern, but it's a pattern so it's a descending channel with 2 support lines in it. So it's holding this white line and it's holding this yellow line, and it's moving in a sort of triangle formation, a descending triangle formation. That generally breaks to the downside, but again, we have to wait for that confirmation. So, long story short today, because I will be posting throughout the day any updates, especially around New York opening, because the New York opening move will give us some indication. If New York chooses again to backtest this top level without resetting to the bottom, chances are that would be a great entry point for a short to follow it down, and it would be a wonderful entry for a short. It might be even the breakout short, to be honest. The way we're testing the top, we're keeping momentum at the top without coming to the bottom, that would be a wonderful, wonderful entry for a short. If New York chooses to push down and do another leg down and do a 1-2 there, again, that would be a great entry for a long. I don't know how long that long position will take us, but again, it would be for Bitcoin back up to the 19.5, for Ethereum back up to the 1350. For XRP, I think it would be back up to 48. So that's me today. I'll keep you guys posted. Remember, my personal practice is take profit in times of uncertainty. Take your profit and then wait out for structure and go in. Tight stop losses right now. A while ago I wouldn't have thought I'd see myself saying tight stop losses, because I wouldn't usually use stop losses, but too many traps teach you the right lesson. So use your tight stop losses to make sure you catch the right entry and you catch the right reversal and you don't trap your capital. I'll see you guys later online, and I'll see you tomorrow.